There's a great deal of photography rubbish on YouTube. I've made a couple of videos about it. They've been really quite popular. You might want to go and check them out if you haven't seen them already. But in this video, I'm taking it to a whole new level. You see, there's so much stuff that we put in these black sacks. A lot of it will go into recycling for sure. A lot of it will go to landfill. But before you do, perhaps take a look at some of these things and consider how you might use them again, because they do have another life before they get crushed or covered. For instance, things like that. Cleared, washed up. You could use that to support something in a kind of home studio setup. These things are just amazing for photography purposes, and I'll show you a couple of ideas with those. Don't know what I could do with that just yet. We'll give it a go. Hey, strawberry shortcake. Really useful. You might not see it yet. I do fully understand how you might just think I've gone somewhat crazy, but yeah, stick with me and see how I can find innovative uses for some of this rubbish before it goes off to its next home, wherever that happens to be. So I want to spend most of this video giving you ideas for how some of this garbage can be used. Some of it is, as I've already alluded to, little more than support for other things, although you may get a lot more creative than me. And some of the other things are going to be, particularly things like this that have got a really nice shape to them and reflective, crucially, are going to have photographs taken of them. Now, shapes like this are really, really good, but there's some things that you're going to kind of need in order to achieve this. And one of those things has got to be lighting. And I'm going to be using bits of kit like this little panel here. This is I think it's a 10 watt panel. That's from Mayman. All of the things I'm going to be using, I'll provide links down below on them. Some of these things are available from Kent Faith, and there's discount codes in the description as well for them. And obviously, if you do buy any of this stuff, I'll get a small commission off them, so you'll be supporting the channel as well. This is another K&F light. I think this is 6 watt, maybe 5, I'm not sure. What does it say? It doesn't matter. It's smaller, really good light. It's got a screw thread on it, as indeed as that. In fact, that's got 2, one there, one there. Well, actually, that's got 2 as well. There we go. So we can put these onto small mini tripods and such, or just support them on things. Lots of options there. I'm going to also be using the rather splendid Adaptalux lighting kit with these wonderful bendy arms, so we can really position the light where we want, and really beautiful pinpointing of things. And I suppose the expensive gear that I'm going to be using is obviously the camera, but I anticipate you have a camera. But a macro lens, this is my 30mm macro, it lets me get stupidly close to things. I also have this 40mm macro from TTArtisans, which I'm going to be using on occasion. It's not going to be a full review of this. As much as anything else, this is me getting a handle on how good or not this is. I've used it for a couple of things. When I say expensive things, if you want to get close with macro, generally speaking, this little 30mm macro lens from Olympus, or now OM system, is about £230, something like that. But you do have to get really, really kind of close to get kind of 1:1. I think it's a 1:1.25 magnification on that. This will do a 1:1, and with really close focusing. This thing's dirt cheap. This is, I think it's about £100 or $100 thereabouts, and this will give you 1:1 magnification. I have used it I'm being really rather impressed with it, but it's an entirely manual lens, and you do well, not that you ever want to drop a lens ever, but you don't want to drop this one on your foot. Let me assure you of that. So yeah, some gear that you are going to need in order to achieve some of the kind of images like this. So let's create some images. So we'll go with our first setup here. One light, ignoring this and that, because they will go off when I take this image. Unlike what I said in the preamble, I haven't got the macro on here. I've just got my 12 to 40, 24 to 80. In full frame terms, I don't need to say that. Anyway, the whole idea of this is to just get just this top in the shot. It's a very, very simple image, and because there's no light and only this one, and it's very carefully positioned so that it's only lighting the top unprinted side of the can, we get a very minimalist shot, and it looks a bit like this. For some of these shots, you'll have to set things up with lights on and then turn them off afterwards, because for a lot of these ideas, you want the only light sources to be those that you are focusing and putting onto your object, because otherwise you'll just get extraneous light in. Yeah, so I've closed the curtains in here. It's getting dark outside, but if it wasn't, I might be tempted to close the curtains and the blinds in the kitchen to stop any light coming through. Not that that's terribly important with this kind of oblique angle from that door, but you get the point, is that often we want absolutely no extraneous light to come onto here, because we want to be able to control everything. And because this image is entirely isolated in the image, if I just put this back onto video, you'll see that I'm getting the tip of the light in here. That's fine, because effectively what we're working with in the final image is a totally black background, so it's easy to paint it out if it gets into shot. So yeah, we don't have to worry too much about things like that. There's a great deal of experimentation you can do here, and so much of it is really just playing with the lights. Move the your subject around under the lights, see what happens. If you've got live view, work with live view. It really helps visualize exactly what it is you're going to achieve. And then run test shots and the like. So here I've kept the light much in the same place. I'm moving this around, but I've also got this panel light here, because what I wanted to do was see whether I could get the rim of this in somehow just kind of notionally there, just that little faintest kind of glow on it. And what I was getting, obviously doing that with it is just not going to give me a faint glow. It's going to give me something really rather harsh and not very nice. Maybe not harsh, but yeah, I don't want to see the printing on the can. So I turned it around, and I was getting, again, too much. I thought, oh, hold on, let's just see what happens if I just cover it, because I'm getting just the tiniest bit of light out of it by doing that. And yeah, it worked. It absolutely worked. And of course, I'm shooting this in pitch black after turning the lights out. So yeah, and I've got to turn that one on, as if I need to prove what I'm saying. I'm getting images that I'm really liking with the can. And of course, yeah, you can just rotate this thing as much as you like and get different views, different shadows from the ring pull and all of these kind of things. Is it called a ring pull anymore? Because you're not, I don't know, tab. Anyway, lots of ways of playing with this, and of course play with colour as well. If you've got LED, RGB LED lights or coloured lights, play with colour. There are so many things you can do with a can, and I think you'll probably find it far more interesting if you've opened it and consumed the contents, particularly if it's beer. I found that a lot more interesting. But in seriousness, there's more of interest in the can if there's this black hole in the top of it. And as an idea, why not get really creative, cut the bottom out of it, put a light up inside it, mask that light off so nothing is coming out, so you can illuminate the inside and the underside of the tab and bits like that. I mean, really, you could have hours of fun with a couple of bottles of or cans of beer. So what I've moved over to now is something, again, that's relatively easy because it's multifaceted. Empty baked bean tin. It's it's so useful for catching light because it's a ribbed structure. You know, it's got these corrugations pressed into it for strength, and they can catch light beautifully. And again, I've changed the rig quite a bit. So I've got the TTArtisans lens on here. And one of the things that's catching me out a minute is an entirely manual lens, so I have to keep focusing it rather than be lazy with autofocus. I mean, it's a mistake you'll make a couple of times, I'm sure. Just kind of looking in, you see I've got, there's a blue light in here, there's a white light catching something. The inside of the tin is already slightly coloured with baked bean juice. I mean, it's been washed out, but perhaps I didn't do it as cleanly as possible. Yeah, you can see I'm using the cheapest baked beans around, which is good when you don't earn a great deal of money off of these YouTube videos. So please, buy me a coffee, be very welcome. Another light that I'm using again here is this panel light, and what I'm doing is I'm just holding the light over here, and what I'm kicking things as well, which is a bit awkward, and I'm illuminating things so I can get a kind of rim light off the label here, being careful not to really expose too much of the writing and such on it. In actual fact, I think the images I've got are completely kind of white there, and it's just providing some interest. And I can't emphasize enough how you just need to play with these things, find images that you like. One thing I will say is that generally speaking, once you've got your camera in position, do try to lock that in position as much as possible, because it's easier to move the objects than it is to move the camera about. Well, I say easier, I find it easy, you may not, but just something to bear in mind there. So yeah, there's just so many possibilities, I think, with the baked bean tin. I haven't yet tried the lid. Again, something possibly on that, yeah, let's carry on. So I want you to stop the video now and tell me what you think this is. Don't advance, just leave a comment and tell me what you think this is. And obviously, you'll find out in a minute, but let's just see whether you're right. How many of you honestly turned around and said, that's obviously a milk carton? I don't think there'd be very many of you. Yet, that's exactly what it is. These water droplets are on the inside, but that's not how it looks. I'm as surprised as the next person. This is just what playing about with a few lights does. We're lighting up the inside, we're getting some different colours. We're running with what? The light at the back here that's in orange, kind of amber. I've got another amber light here, I'm not sure it's doing a great deal. And I've got a blue light inside, and I've taken the shroud off of that, the focusing ring off of that, so it's lighting up the whole thing. And again, there's lots and lots and lots of different images to get out of this very simple thing. And it just fell out of a rubbish bag earlier. So now I've got a pie dish. Well, it's not a pie dish, it had a cheesecake in it. I haven't even bothered cleaning it up particularly because I'm really only working on the outside. The inside's just that little bit too uniform, if you see what I mean. It's just a very uniform pattern that looks a bit too much like what it is. But when we're getting close to the outside edge with all the crinkling bits and such to it, I think there's something else in this. I quite like this. I'm not going to say that you do or will. I think what we're doing here is we're just really experimenting, and most of the things you've seen me use so far are things that are either reflective or have some translucent properties to them. I did try doing something with this this soft cheese container lid, and no, I couldn't. I absolutely couldn't. I've got the foil cover for it here, and it's really multifaceted. I really like it, but I've struggled again to get anything from that. I do know how it might be used though, and it could be used in a very similar way as to what I might use this, which is a kind of stainless steel metal wire wool scourer. And what you can do with things like this is certainly, and indeed this pie dish, is you can use them as reflectors. So you can, if you've got too much light on one side, or you want to bounce something back and you don't have more light, or you want to control it in a different way, you can use something like that and it reflects some light back on. So you can use it for something like that. But when we're talking about macro, if you were to put something like this or that in the background and maybe scrunch it up a little bit and then shine a light directly on it, or perhaps even through it, then you get this really kind of glistening, glittery light in the background of something. I haven't figured out quite how I might use that here yet, because I'm really close up. I don't have a background to really work with here that's going to do that kind of job. But imagine that here. Hold on. Yeah, that with a light running through it. Then you kind of get the idea. That's really. Am I talking crap? I don't think I am. But you get the idea perhaps. So a couple of the pie dish, and I'm not sure what else I'm going to attempt just yet. Another translucent item here. I think this is working very well as well. I focus really close to the thread, and it's just that element of it that's giving me something very interesting. You see, what I've done here is I've placed it on top of a light that's set to a kind of pinky. That's throwing light up through the material and lighting it from within, if you like. It's, if you see these signs that are kind of neon illuminated but don't appear to have a light source, the green things and such, they're just panels that with something etched inside them. It's exactly the same kind of what's happening here. The light's been thrown into the material, and I think that's doing a really nice job. Blue light coming in off here. Not sure what that's. That actually isn't having a big effect. It might have more once I've taken the light off. But there's a little bit of light coming in over the back here. And I've gone back to my Olympus lens for this because I need to focus stack this, because I want a really soft fall off of the thread. And a bit more depth onto it, and the easiest way of doing that is to stop the lens down, open the lens up, I should say, to its widest aperture, which this lens is 3.5, I think. Yeah, 3.5, and then just focus stacking backward to get. I mean, it's still a really thin focus plane, but I think it's rather nice. I hope this experimentation has given you some ideas of how you might use some of the things that we would just instantly throw away for indoor photography. I mean, a lot of this is abstract, and I suppose that, I kind of expected it to be. These these things aren't exactly great to look at, are they? I mean, they're not. They're designed for single use, and so long as they manage that, then that's all they need to do. The can, I think, is far more interesting, although I wouldn't necessarily get so close to the can. There's so many things I think we can do. I was fascinated by how we can use these cartons. Something that you might consider doing is perhaps slicing it up, maybe taking a panel out of it or something and using that as some kind of light diffuser. Think along those kind of lines. One of the tricks I've used before in videos is to take out oh, not videos, even photographs, I did use it in the video, is to take out a piece of tin foil and kind of scrunch it up and put it in the background, but also use it as a reflector outside. It's actually tin foil, if you're going out with lights like this, is really good for a really small reflector, because you can just fold it up and carefully open it again, and you end up with a reflector that you can mould into a shape. So if you're in the woods or something and you're lighting a mushroom or a flower or something, then you've got the opportunity of moulding, yeah, something like that to fit in a shape, in a crook of a tree or a stump or whatever. All of these kind of ideas. Essential things to carry with you whenever you're doing stuff like this is a paintbrush, yeah, so you can dust things off, really handy. A cloth so you can clean things. Whatever else. Oh heck yeah! You know, let's fish that out of there. A cable release, really important things. Something I haven't got here, and perhaps I should have. Blue tack. Blue tack. Fantastic stuff for attaching things. If you want to stick something to something, a bit of blue tack. If you want to mould something to hold something in place, a bit of blue tack. Crocodile clips, lovely little things for that. All of these kind of little bits and bobs are really handy. I've got this kind of contraption, a kind of super clamp attached to a couple of standoffs here, so I can hold something at a distance away from a tripod. I have a box of yeah, little bits and bobs like this. Probably not enough, in fairness, to do this kind of thing. Yeah, if you're going to invest in a couple of bits and bobs, yeah, some of these standoffs and connectors and the like, really useful stuff. I really would love to see what you come up with. If you put some things onto Instagram, send me links to them. I'd love to see them. In the meantime, whatever else I've photographed, I will run out with. And yeah, I hope it's given you some ideas. I know the images aren't perfect, but yours might be. So keep it up, and we'll see you next time.